Hello and welcome. You are listening to an episode of the Sales Chat Show. To stream or download a host of further free episodes that will power your sales success, please visit saleschatshow.com. We really hope that you enjoy and benefit from this episode. Hello folks, and welcome to another episode from the Sales Chat Show, saleschatshow.com, driving your sales forwards. So folks, this is a slightly different episode from the Sales Chat Show. Phil Graham and I normally get together in a studio to record our episodes. Due to the current limitations very correctly in place around coronavirus and contact and travel, we are recording this episode remotely. Hopefully the technology will allow us to do this. There may be some limitations we experience as so many people are making use of online platforms and bandwidth, etc. But hopefully we'll produce some quality output for you. We wanted to get some episodes in the can that would help you during this sort of challenging period. And this episode is about how to manage remote or home-based salespeople during the coronavirus challenge. So what pretty much everybody is facing is people being asked where possible to work from home. Travel restrictions, meeting restrictions, social gathering limitations are being put in place, which means that the vast majority of the salespeople in the world are now probably based from home. Their sales managers are based from home. Their sales leaders are based from home. And this is obviously a very different reality from the one that we have been used to. I suppose we, broadly speaking, got two groups of salespeople to consider. There is the typically what are usually field-based salespeople. They will be going and calling on customers usually in the customer's business, the customer's premises, traveling quite extensively, and then often working from home, hotels, on the move, or from the office from time to time. So those people may be used to working from home some of the time, maybe not, depends on the person. And then we'll have all of the inside salespeople who are typically working inside an office on a sales floor, who are probably having the most unexpected change to their working behavior, being asked to work from home. So what can sales managers, sales leaders be doing to help people to make this transition and to work successfully? We've just recorded an episode on making sure you're technically ready for working from home. So please make sure that you give that a listen. We hope that will be useful. But in terms of sales management, sales leadership, critically important is the quality of leadership that is being provided. A piece of research from MIT originally said that 80 to 90% of employees' behavior is determined by what leaders are paying attention to, measuring, rewarding, and controlling, the role modeling and coaching leaders provide, and how leaders respond to critical incidents. And without a doubt, the issue we're facing at the moment is a pretty tough critical incident. So I think just a thing to be aware of and to be sensitive of is your behavior as a sales manager and a sales leader is going to be really, really critical. When people are feeling uncertain or during times of change, they will very much be looking to you as a sales manager and a sales leader for guidance, support, help, and clarity. And all of those things you may not be able to provide. But that is a difficult situation that people will be facing. So we want to give you some thoughts and some ideas as we go along. Firstly, I think if you think about people's sense of engagement with an organization, employee engagement is often defined as the emotional and intellectual connection that employees have with their companies. It's kind of like their hearts and minds, I suppose. And I suppose a tip for me is that a piece of research in the UK from the Institute for Employment Studies shows that one of the strongest drivers of employee engagement is a sense of feeling valued and a sense of feeling involved. So I would certainly make sure that you're able to help the people feel valued during this difficult time and involve them, use their brains, use their intellect. If you've got problems and challenges as a leader, you don't necessarily have to have the answer to everything. What a pressure to put upon yourself. Why not turn to your fine team, to those bright, intelligent people you've got working for you, throw the challenge across and see what they can come up with. Get them all together on a call or on a Zoom or on WebEx or on Skype or on Microsoft Teams. Bounce around, brainstorm around some of the problems and challenges. In doing so, you'll make them feel valued. And secondly, you'll involve them. And thirdly, you probably get some really, really good ideas and really good thoughts. Graham, Phil, got any thoughts that you would add on that kind of theme?
Well, I think that the looking after your staff and their well-being and having this kind of regular contact is important, because if you think about most offices and even most salespeople in the field, there'll be regular contact with people in the office. Those water cooler moments, the fact that you'd pop into the office if you're a field salesperson, none of that's going to happen, and that means those occasional kind of pats on the back from the boss can't happen anymore. The how you're getting on, all of those kind of things can't happen. And so I think it's really important that a regular event is put into people's timetables to do those things virtually. So I know, for example, in my role at the University of Buckingham, we have a daily meeting, which replaces, all of those meetings we'd have in the corridor throughout the day, so that we can just catch up with each other and find out what's happening. So we're doing that every afternoon. And then on Friday evening at 5 o'clock, we're all virtually going down the pub. So we're all meeting each other after work for a drink. And, people can have a beer or a gin and tonic or a soft drink or whatever they want at home. And we meet virtually using, in this case, Microsoft Teams, so we can all see each other, and we can have a drink. And the one rule is you can't talk about work.
Brilliant.
So it's
Brilliant.
a social gathering. And those kind of things that may have happened spontaneously in the office are never going to happen for the coming weeks. And so it's really important, I think, for managers to put those kind of things into place.
So that's a kind of a shift of sort of what we might call accidental contact that just occurs as a fact of day-to-day working in the same place, to intentional contact where you've got to make them happen. I love the idea of having both formal and informal connection, because that's what happens at work. And even if you are having a formal sales meeting virtually, allow 10-15 minutes for a bit of chat and conversation at the start. I think that's important. Phil, any thoughts from you on that?
Yeah, I think there's a saying, isn't there, that you need to get the old feelings out before you put the new feelings in. And I think some of the old feelings, so to speak, will be that members of the sales team will be worried, genuinely worried about what's going on and how it's going to affect them and how it's going to affect their families. So I think if I was a sales manager or a sales director, I think I would recognize that, point one, and then maybe try and spend some time. I noticed this morning, I saw it actually referred to as worry time, to actually plan for 15 minutes, 30 minutes a day of worry time, where people offload anything and everything that is of concern to them. You chat about it, you deal with it where you can, you try and focus people on what they can control rather than what they can just influence. And having got that out of the way, then it's back to a more positive stance, onwards and upwards, so to speak. And we move on in a forwards direction. And the following day, again, because people will be thinking about stuff overnight, and no doubt they'll be watching some fairly scary stuff on the TV, then again, you allocate that worry time to get those feelings out so you can deal with them and move on.
And that's a really, really valid point. And I think that just makes me think about um, a phrase I heard many years ago about different strokes for different folks. And I think it's also, I think, on an individual one-to-one basis as a sales manager and a sales leader, and also as a colleague, looking out for your peers and supporting your peers. And work friends, colleagues in these difficult times is just find out how individual people are dealing and coping with this. Some people are going to have, for example, if they're a working mum, a working dad, and the schools are closed, they're going to have their children at home, which is going to cause additional challenges that might not be the same for other people. And I think we have to be mindful of that fact and respectful of that fact. Some people psychologically will probably take working from home quite easily, and some people quite enjoy it. I'm very used to working from home, and I'm very fortunate to have a lovely and well-equipped home office. So I'm in a good place, but that I shouldn't make that assumption that everyone, for example, that I'm working with, they could be stuck in a tiny back bedroom or perched on their kitchen table. So I think it's very important to sort of treat people very much as individuals and to encourage an open and honest sharing of how they're feeling, and that it's okay, to be finding the going.
Sorry, that may have been me interrupting. I think another thing that is worth remembering is that stress affects people very differently. And again, if I was a sales manager or a sales director, the thing that I would be looking for is changes in behavior. So the current coronavirus situation might make one member of my team become quieter, whilst another member of my team is becoming more animated and excitable. But it's the changes in their behavior that are the clues to watch for, I think. Graham, I think I interrupted you.
Or I interrupted you. I don't know. Yeah, I think that I think Simon's saying he's used to working from home. I would disagree. That we've got well-equipped home offices because we are people who work from home, but actually we're not used to working from home because a lot of the time we're not at home. So people who even do work from home, even salespeople who are based at home, are not used to working from home because most of the time they're out. So if they add up the total number of hours they're going to be sitting at their computer at home, it's probably 1/5 of their working week. So most of the time you're out of the home office. And so we're going to have to get used to the fact that all of the time you're going to be in your home office. You're not going to be bumping into people. You're not going to be getting that social face-to-face interaction. And so even if you haven't got a well-equipped home office because you don't normally work from home, you are actually going to be in the same psychological position as the people who do have a home office, because most people with a home office don't spend most of their time in it. There are very few people who work from home who actually spend most of their time working from home. So I think everybody's going to have to get used to this fact that we are, as my mum put it the other day, a prisoner in our own home, because we can't go out. And so we are going to have to make sure that we find ways, and as sales managers and sales directors, it's really important to help our staff find those ways of supporting each other. We might need to set up Facebook groups for our team, for example, so they can just have a chat to each other to replace all of those things that would have normally happened in the normal work environment.
Yeah.
And when we take those away, we actually reduce the mental health well-being of our staff, which means they're going to perform even less well when they do return to, real work, as it were, in the coming months.
Yeah, good. That's a really good point, Graham. Yeah, thank you for kind of just pulling me up on that. I think that's a really, 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 really valid and important point. And yeah, we were talking about contact. I'd also say we need to think about just make sure that we are appearing to check in rather than check up on people. I was running a virtual sales training session on Friday. A client asked us to transfer a face-to-face sessions over to virtual, and I was just asking people at the start how they were doing, how they were feeling. And interestingly, one person said, "I'm doing more work at home because I feel guilty about being at home." So they're almost feeling like, well, because I'm working at home, there's some sort of silly, to be honest, quite outdated concept that goes around that if you're working from home, you're not working properly. So I think making sure that you're checking in on how people are doing rather than being seen to checking up, that you're suspicious that they're not working. So we probably don't have any command and control style people listening to the Sales Chat Show. I would imagine they wouldn't be drawn to listening to stuff like the Sales Chat Show. But there was a lovely quote from Ernest Hemingway who said, "The best way to find out if you can trust somebody is to trust them." So, and anyway, we should have always for years been managing salespeople on output, not input, really, in terms of working hours. So definitely. And yeah, keeping that communication level up as well. Yes, the contact, but making sure your communication is candid and calm and conscious, and making sure you're helping people to understand priorities and what's expected of them, and that it's okay. It's okay to have your bedroom curtains in the background when you've got your video on, when you're in internal meetings or whatever. So, they're going to be looking to you for guidance as a leader, particularly as they're feeling a little bit more challenged. Or very challenged. So stay close to your people. Keep those ears open, folks. Gentlemen, just before we bring this to a close, any other thoughts or comments or suggestions you might have for our listeners?
Yeah,
I would just say don't do what was given to a friend of mine in a set of instructions by his company. So the instructions included things about changing the background of the room. It included instructions on ensuring that there was no extraneous noise from either inside or outside the house, to not allow children to make any background noise. And there was a great long list of basically don't do this, which means it's impossible for that person to actually take part in anything, because they can't change the background of their room without redecorating. They can't stop the children making noise downstairs. These are impossible demands, and business sales directors who are making these demands need to get real, I think.
100%. Possibly, I one of the more ridiculous things I think I've heard from the current coronavirus challenge. I've got to say, Phil, your thoughts.
Just one final thought on working from home. I think some of our listeners will be very comfortable with the concept of sitting at their desk with their pajama bottoms on, although the top part might be looking a little bit work-like. And other people will say, well, actually, if I'm going to work from home, I still need to feel work-like. So I will wear the same clothes as I would normally wear when I'm meeting customers. And then at other times of the day, when I'm not engaged in customer type chats online, then I may well dress down for that. But I think it's about recognizing, what's going to work for you. There's no one way on that we should be prescribing.
Yeah, some people find having a routine, having starting at 9, having lunch, having breaks, closing at 4:30, 5 o'clock, whatever, it works for them. Again, it's different. It's different strokes for different folks. I saw a lovely comment on social media. Somebody saying they're maintaining a very strict personal routine, that as soon as they get up, they take their pajamas off, they take their PJs off, and then they put their day PJs on, which I thought was lovely. So, some great humour some very helpful and great humour coming out during this time as well. So, of course. So Phil Graham, thank you very much. Phil, Jess and Graham Jones. I've been Simon Hazeldine from the Sales Chat Show, saleschatshow.com, hoping that this episode will be helpful to you managing your people through these quite challenging times. Just a reminder from everyone at the Sales Chat Show, please make sure you're following all the guidance that you've been given locally in your country about contact and home isolation, etc., hand washing, so on and so forth. Please make sure we're all playing our part here and doing absolutely the right thing. And we would just like to, from the Sales Chat Show, just want to wish you that you stay very safe during these times, and we look forward to trying to be of service and help to you with some of our episodes that we're going to be recording going forward. So Simon Hazeldine, Graham Jones, Phil Jesson from the Sales Chat Show. Stay safe, people. You have been listening to an episode of the Sales Chat Show. To stream or download a host of further free episodes that will power your sales success, please visit saleschatshow.com. Thank you very much for listening to this episode, and from everyone here at the Sales Chat Show, we'd like to wish you good luck and good selling.